this is actually the first Guild guitar ever made. This is serial number 1001. And knowing my father, he would not have started with 1 or 100. And he wouldn't have started with 1,000 either. And there are people like Hans Most from Holland who are very much vintage, knowledgeable folks on Guild and other guitar companies, but particularly Guild. He wrote a book called The History of Guild. Mm. And Hans said, we can't document anything below 1002. We have found 1002. So this is 1001. There is no 1000. This is it. This was found several years ago by Jay Pilzer, who has a website called The Guild Guy. Mm-hmm. He's in New Hope, Tennessee. Jay and I have known each other just because of the NAMM shows, the guitar shows, and the whole history of Guild. And he called me one day and he said, would you be interested in purchasing the first Guild ever made? It was found under somebody's bed. Been there for 50 years. And the guy who had it gave it to his son. And the son really came up with this idea. He said, I'd like to see it go back to the family. Do you know the family?
Right.
So Jay and I have known each other. Jay, oh, of course I know the family. He said, would you be interested? I said, of course I'm interested. How much is it? The price was reasonable. And you won't believe it, but this is the way it happened. I heard my father say, you have to handle, you have to bargain. You just can't take the first price. Okay, that's the way it is. And being a dutiful son, I said, so Jay, listen, you think they would take a little discount? He said, sure, give them an offer. Gave them an offer, they said yes, I sent the check, here's the guitar.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, this is true, this is what it is. And this is it. This is the first Guild ever made. This tailpiece came from a German company. We later started getting the traditional Guild harp tailpieces from. These are just little controls that came out of nowhere, and later we had different controls. The pick guard changed later. The headstock even changed later.
When did it come into your possession? Like, how many years ago would this have been?
It's a good question. I can find out for sure, but I don't know. I would say about 8 to 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
20th Century Guitar did an article about it, and that was the same year that I got it.
It's amazing because I can see the kind of some of the checkering on the side, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's in great condition.
It's in perfect condition except for the binding, which is a problem Guild had. That the binding that was used at that time was very volatile. It used to burst into flame while you were cutting it or working with it. Yeah, I mean, everything has changed. The materials have changed over time. But this is kind of standard Guild. It's a plywood spruce top. It's a maple and flame maple sides and back.
Beautiful.
It's a maple 3-piece neck. And the headstock changed slightly.
I'm looking at the insignia, the logo. Yeah.
Yeah, the Guild logo changed as well as the top of the headstock. This is kind of a Gibson style.
Right.
And Gibson had a little problem with that. And at one point they said, "You gotta have to change, folks." And we did change to a different headstock.
Oh, that's amazing.
But this is number one. This is it.
And about what year would this be? Like
52.
1952. Wow, that's amazing.
Some people think 53.
Yeah.
I personally thought it was 1950, but it seems to be 52.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's unbelievable.
That's a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. Well, I wanted to say, today was a really special day for me because I've been an endorser of DR Strings for, I think I'm gonna say it's over 15 years.
Whoa.
Probably pushing toward 1997 or 98 or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't know a lot of what I learned today. Like, there's a lot, like I've known Anthony and Rosa for years and whatnot, and been a really proud user of the strings, but I didn't know a lot of what went into the making of each string, and I'd never had a chance to visit the facility. And something I was saying to Anthony earlier is I'm so proud to be a part of, in my small way, a part of this family.
Thank you.
Because it is, there's not just a quality of workmanship in the product, but there's a quality of the people putting the energy into the product. There's a quality of people taking pride in their work, and even seeing the people, like watching people on the line making guitar strings, by hand, and seeing that these are the same people that have been there for years and whatnot. It's a beautiful thing, and for me, and I was actually saying this on the drive over, one of the things that really struck me is that I was telling the story about talking to a guitar pickup maker years ago.
Sure.
And I was saying, how much does it matter? How much does that one winding of copper on that magnet going through a cable into an amplifier, going through a ceramic magnet, going through paper, going through a microphone, how much does that one winding matter? And they said everything along the line matters. And so for me, feeling like I'm at the end of the line of people putting so much love and energy into, I was actually saying to someone earlier, it makes me want to play better as a musician.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So yeah, so thank you not only for that, but I'm just blown away at how you've kept so much of it intact, of that initial idea of what you wanted to do with a guitar string and whatnot. Has there been, I know that there's been a lot of developments in terms of starting to branch out with different coated strings, with different color strings and whatnot.
Yep.
Is there, what kind of, I guess my question is, where is that kind of muse that kind of inspires you to kind of go in different directions or try different things and whatnot?
It really comes from a very, very simple philosophy. And I think it started with my father. I once said to him, there was a big company called Harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They were so big, they had railroad cars filled with lumber rolling inside the factory. That's how big they were. That's probably how it is in China. I have no idea.
Right.
And I said to him, why are we making expensive guitars? Why don't we make them cheaper? And he just turned around and he says, there will always be a demand for a Cadillac. But a Chevy? I don't know. People can make Chevys. Mm-hmm. Caddies take a lot more effort. Mm-hmm. And really what he was saying is, you do your very best at all times, and you're open to development, and you're interested, mm-hmm. Not in skimping, mm-hmm. not in saving a buck, but making the product better. Mm-hmm. And if you're really interested and you really care, then you're always trying new things. You're always hearing, mm-hmm. well, I heard about this thing. Let me try that. Or have you heard this? Could we talk to that guy? Who knows about? It's just a constant evolution mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. of development, thought, effort.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about the fact, I was discussing this with some people. I play with a lot of different artists, but I've been working with Josh since around 2002. And this is a great environment to be very precious and specific about certain things, because we're playing with orchestras and we're playing with, grand piano and in terms of intonation, in terms of articulation. And even, my role, if I'm playing a chord that's got complicated extensions that are kind of leading in, there's something with nature and the overtone series and that it has to work a certain way. And so I love how articulate your strings are on all of my instruments.
Thank you.
But as you were describing that, it made me think of, I'm also a food fan. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm a huge food fan, and I was thinking about my favorite chefs and how important, going and having a relationship with the people that are actually making the food and making, because all along the line, if you don't have great ingredients, you can't make a great product. You can't make a great, and like, for instance, Thomas Keller up in Youngsville is he's a hero of mine. And to be able to have access to the freshest ingredients in order to kind of create the best meals, to me, is part of what makes it art. Yeah. Now, is there anything on the horizon that's coming that you can talk about, or?
Well, there is something coming pretty soon. Mm-hmm. We've patented a way of making strings for our DDTs, the electric drop-down tuning.
Oh,
strings.
right, okay.
And they keep tuned incredibly well, and they've kind of rewritten the rules of, do you really need heavy gauges to drop down? No, you don't need heavy gauges.
Right,
There's something else that works better. And we haven't ever told anybody about that. We're not quite ready to do that, but we are planning to tell people about it, and we are planning to introduce the same technology in acoustic strings.
Oh, fantastic.
And that is coming. That will be definitely before the end of the year.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
Oh, fantastic!
that's my plan. I can't say definitely, but that's the plan, is to introduce it either before or at NAMM.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say once again, I've been using your strings exclusively for. I have to think about how many years. Huge fan of the string.
Great.
I've always loved my relationship with all the people here.
Oh,
I'm glad I finally had a chance to come here, and I am so proud to be a part of this family.
Thank you.
In my own small way. So thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.